Dr. Shabir, do Muslims have silent prayer? In Christianity, this means the worshiper prays without words or thoughts, and God talks rather than the worshiper. Is there such a thing in Islam?
And generally in Islam, yes, we do have silent prayer. I'll explain that. But we do not have the idea that God speaks to us in a dependable way in which we find that some of our Christian friends understand. Like sometimes a Christian will say to me, well, God spoke to me and told me this, so they get this sense that there is something specific that God said to them. So Muslims generally do not find that dependable. And within the tradition, it's viewed with some kind of skepticism, and, because otherwise everybody will say God told me this and the other thing, and contrary instructions apparently coming from God to various individuals. But what we find dependable is that the Quran is the Word of God. And so the Quran speaks to us, and that's God speaking to us. So in many of our prayers, especially those which are done publicly with a prayer leader, the prayer leader will be reciting the Quran and in the prayer, and the followers will be silently listening to what is being recited. And then from the follower's point of view, this is God speaking to us, and it's within the prayer. So that's one form in which we have a sort of silence within the prayer, and the idea of God speaking to us within the prayer. In other ways, we can remember God in a silent way, either by uttering something or not necessarily uttering something, because the Quran says, وَيَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. They remember God standing, sitting, and even like lying on their sides. And another verse of the Quran speaks about وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. They contemplate the creation of the heavens and the earth. So this contemplation, which might be called in Arabic muraqaba, this could be done at any time by Muslims, and this is a silent form of prayer. Without saying anything, just thinking about the greatness of God as manifested in God's magnificent creation. And that is, in a way, would be our communication with God at that moment.
But that sort of direct communication with God, it doesn't seem like it's a prominent feature of Islam.
Not the idea that God speaks to me, where somebody can say, well, God told me this last night. This would not be found to be dependable and would rather be held with some suspicion in the Islamic tradition.
Thank you, Dr. Shabir, for sharing those thoughts. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.